Welcome, have a nice day. Today is Friday, 7th of June 2024. This day is celebrated as World Food Safety Day. The safety of food is key to achieving sustainable development goals. From the history point of view, in 1893, Mahatma Gandhi carried out the first act of civil disobedience. On 7 June 1893, Mohandas Gandhi, then a young Indian lawyer recently arrived in the South Africa, was asked to shift from the first-class compartment of train, even though he had a valid ticket, just because he was not violent. Sickened. Starting the newspaper and listening with the newspaper, The Hindu states that election results 2024 BJD's a bold move to boost women's representation fails to meet expectations. Odisha Chief Minister and Biju Janata Dal Chief Naveen Patnaik meets party workers during an election campaign for the Assembly Lok Sabha polls in Balasore. The 2024 elections saw total 11 women candidates elected into Odisha Assembly compared to 17 in 2019 elections. The Naveen Patnaik-led Biju Janata Dal's attempt to send more women to the State Assembly and Lok Sabha came out a cropper with only 5 out of 41 women candidates winning the election, halting the trend of party's successful run with women candidates. The Hindu newspaper also states that India General Election 2024, Rahul Gandhi calls the June 4 a stock market crash. A scam demands a JPC probe. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi addresses a press conference at AICC HQ in New Delhi on June 6, 2024. Senior party leader Jairam Ramesh is also seen. Prime Minister and Home Minister urged investors to buy stocks before June 4. That ultimately resulted in the rupees 30 lakh crore being wiped out, the Congress leader alleging the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Home Minister Amit Shah were directly involved in June 4 stock market crash that wiped out the rupees 30 lakh crore of investor wealth. Former Congress Chief Rahul Gandhi on Thursday demanded a joint parliamentary committee JPC to probe the matter. Addressing a press conference at the Congress headquarters, Mr. Gandhi referred to the June 4 a crash as the biggest stock market crash scam, one that pushed up the markets after a fake exit polls saw a record transaction on June 3 and then crashed a day later when the votes were counted. The Hindu newspaper also states that NHRC seeks report on sale of underage girls as a part of Nata Pratha. The Commission's direction came from following its intervention in the complaint dated July 15, 2020 by the father of the minor girl who claimed that the child was illegally kidnapped from the Rajasthan's Salamgarh area in the district of Pratapgarh. When the groom failed to pay the remaining amount, the father brought his daughter back and fixed her data with another man for Rupees 32,000. The girl objected and went to live with her earlier husband at Gagarwa. The National Human Rights Commission (HRC) issued notices on the Thursday to the United Ministry of Women and Child Development and the states of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, and Gujarat over a practice known as Nata Pratha. This involves the selling on a stamp paper or a marrying of underage girls from some communities. These sales and marriages are usually conducted by their own families. China protests Prime Minister Modi's response to Taiwan's president greetings. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te. China on Thursday, June 6, protested over Prime Minister Narendra Modi's comment that he looked forward to having closer ties with Taiwan and insisted that New Delhi should resist the Taiwan's authorities' political calculations. China views Taiwan as a rebel province that must be reunified with the mainland every 5 years. First of all, there is no such thing as a president of the Taiwan region, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning told a media briefing here when asked by a Western media correspondent for her reaction to the wording of the Modi's message. Israel's strike on Gaza school kills 37 people. Palestinians mourn their relatives killed in an Israeli bombardment of the UNRWA school at Nuseirat refugee camp in the front of the morgue of Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir al-Balah, Central Gaza Strip on June 6, 2024. The strike came after the military said it was launching a new year and ground operations in the central Gaza, and an international medical group reported sourcing casualties. A Gaza hospital said at least 37 people were killed in an Israeli strike on Thursday on a United Nations-run school that the Israeli military alleged housed a Hamas compound. The strike came after the military said it was launching new air and ground operations in the central Gaza, and an international medical group reported suffering casualties. The latest operations appear to mark a widening of Israeli nearly 8-month offensive launched after Hamas's October 7 attack. Spain to join South Africa's genocide International Court of Justice case over Israel's action in Gaza. Spain's Foreign Minister José Manuel Álvarez Bueno. Spain is the first European nation to join the case, which has also been joined by Chile and Mexico. Spain will ask a United Nations court for permission to join South Africa's case accusing Israel of genocide in Gaza. Its foreign minister announced on June 6. Spain is the first European country to take the step after South Africa filed its case with the International Court of Justice late last year. It alleged that Israel was breaching the Genocide Convention in its military assault that has laid waste to large swaths of Gaza. United Nations International Children Emergency Fund finds 90% of Gaza's children lack food needed for the proper growth. Displaced Palestinian children carrying containers with the food in Rafah on the southern Gaza Strip on May 19, 2024, aimed at the ongoing conflict between Israel and the militant Hamas group. Israel says it puts no limit on humanitarian supplies for civilians in Gaza and had blamed the United Nations for slow deliveries, saying its operations are inefficient. UNICEF said on June 6 that 9 out of the 10 children in Gaza could not eat nutrients from the enough food groups to ensure their healthy growth and development. In the Gaza Strip, months of the hostilities and the restrictions on the humanitarian aid have collapsed the food and health systems, resulting in the catastrophic consequences for the children and their families, UNICEF said. United Nations Nuclear Agency's board votes to censure Iran for failing to cooperate fully with the watchdog. The flag of the International Atomic Energy Agency flies in front of its headquarters during a IAEA Board of Governors meeting in the Vienna, Austria. Diplomats say the United Nations Nuclear Watchdogs Board has censored Iran for failing to cooperate fully with the agency. The United Nations Nuclear Watchdogs Board on 5 June censored Iran for failing to cooperate fully with the agency, diplomats said, calling on Tehran to provide answers in a long-running investigation and reverse its decision to bar several experienced United Nations inspectors. Iran's foreign ministry issued a late-night statement in the response to the vote, saying it strongly condemns the action taken by the IAEA's Board of Governors and called the move political. Now, going towards the Hindustan Times newspaper states that Israel's Netanyahu set to address the United States Congress on July 24 report. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is set to address a joint meeting of Congress on July 24, according to the person familiar with the matter. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gestures as he attends a cabinet meeting at the Bible Lands Museum in Jerusalem on June 5, 2024. The Times also states that Hamas to give response on Gaza trusty plan, says Qatar. Hamas has not given its response on its tabloid plan for a ceasefire with the Israeli in Gaza and an exchange of hostages and prisoners, Qatar's foreign ministry spokesperson said on Thursday. Qatar's foreign ministry spokesperson Majid Al-Ansari speaks during a weekly press briefing at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Doha, Qatar, June 4, 2024. 86 deaths during a Char Dham Yatra so far, state government data. In Uttarakhand, 86 deaths were reported so far due to the health-related ailments during the Char Dham Yatra, which began on May 10, Uttarakhand state government data said. In a guest list for Prime Minister Modi's oath event, Maldivian President is a surprise addition. Formal invitations have been sent to all the 7 countries for Prime Minister Modi's swearing-in ceremony. New Delhi, India's neighbor-first policy and the focus on the cooperation with the Indian Ocean states were the main factors behind a decision to invite the leaders of Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, and Maldives, Mauritius, Seychelles, and Sri Lanka to the Prime Minister's inauguration on June 9. Exchange of messages on X between Prime Minister Modi and the Taiwan President angers China. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te was among the world's leaders who greeted Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on securing a third term. New Delhi, China on Thursday protested to India over an exchange of messages between the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Taiwan President Lai Ching-te, saying that it opposes all interaction between Taiwan's authorities and countries having diplomatic ties with the Beijing. Now, going towards the economy of the country from the business point of view, amid market crash and recovery, FIA's pulled out rupees 18,109 crore so far in June. Net FPI outflows were at record high of rupees 12,436 crore on June 4. The day Lok Sabha election results were announced and the Sensex crashed by 6%. Meanwhile, on Thursday, the 30-share Sensex rose 692.27 points or 0.93% to close at 75,074.51. The broad Nifty gained 201.05 points or 0.89% to end of the 22,821.4. India offers $500 billion investment opportunities in the clean energy other sectors by 2030. The meeting, which started on Wednesday, brought together the regions of top investors, clean economy companies, and startups to mobilize investments into the sustainable infrastructure, climate technology, and renewable energy projects. A coalition of investors, including Singapore's Temasek and GIC, have committed to injecting $25 billion in the infrastructure investment in emerging markets that are part of the economic alliance between the United States and several Asia-Pacific countries. Veg thali prices rise by 9% in April. CRISIL, the cost of the veg thali, increased owing to a surge of 39%, 41%, and 43% on a year in the prices of tomato, potato, and onion, respectively, largely because of the low of last fiscal. CRISIL said the on-year cost of the representative home-cooked vegetarian thali rose by 9%, non-vegetarian thali declined by 7% in April 2024. CRISIL M&A research said the veg thali comprises roti, vegetables, onion, tomato, and potato, rice, dal, curd, and salad. For non-veg thali, the constituents remains the same, but for dal, which is replaced by chicken. Now, going towards the world news, including Israel strike kills dozens of former school where civilians were sheltering. A Texas country removed 17 books from its libraries. An appeal court says 8 must be returned. Trump, in his first post-trial rally, demands that appeals courts reverse his felony conviction. The United States to send new $225 million military aid package to Ukraine. Officials say Trump allies Steve Bannon and must surrender to prison by July 1st to start a contempt sentence. Judge says surprising, unsettling, surreal, roaming through Saudi Arabia. Going towards science and tech, we have climate conference in November. Trump is a peace and trusty. A view of Dubai's Expo City, where the United Nations Climate Change Conference of 28 was held. The annual climate conference to be held here in the November will lay particular stress on a peace and a trusty to enable countries to focus on climate solutions amid ongoing conflicts. A top advisor to the Azerbaijan government said at a media briefing this week. The 29th edition of the Conference of Party, as the climate conference is called, is set to further agenda points decided in the 28th edition in Dubai, such as a firm commitment to transition away from the use of fossil fuels in a just, orderly, and equitable manner, and accelerating action in the critical decade to achieve net zero by 2050. Health regulations need a base-to-top approach. The subject to regulation has always been of interest to health program managers, but arguably in one of the weakest points in India's healthcare system. Health regulations are essential, but their implementation in India needs to be announced and calibrated. In the last week of May, an incident of a devastating fire in the private neonatal care nursing home in New Delhi shook us all. Political parties began a blame game, and the media coverage was intense, going overboard and reporting incorrectly that a number of nursing homes in Delhi function without a license. Yet the incident seems to have been forgotten by the most of even as the parents grieve. Such tragedies are often followed by a question of by who should be blamed, completely missing the point that these are almost always the outcome of a systematic failure, in this case, failure of healthcare regulations. Health Ministry directors a state on managing heat wave, fire hazard. Motorists are covering their faces to protect themselves from the heat wave. Doctors caution that heat strokes can affect all the groups, but the ill effects are more prevalent among children, elderly individuals, and patients with the pre-existing conditions. The Health Ministry on Thursday has held a virtual meeting with the states and the union territories to assess the preparedness for heat wave conditions and the fire and electricity safety measures adopted by the healthcare facility across the country. Early ministry is issued a 12-point checklist on a fire safety in a healthcare establishment after multiple incidents of fire and in some cases loss of life. The move, besides standardizing the checklist of healthcare establishments, will also make monitoring seamless and ensure a patient and staff safety. A senior health ministry official told The Hindu, hospitals are now required to evaluate and report back the final tally on the checklist, including oxygen safety, regular electric load, audit, and installation of smoke detectors and fire alarms. India is to spend up to $385 billion to meet renewable energy target. Moody's rating estimates a power generating windmill turbine in Gujarat. India said it aims to ramp up our non-fossil fuel capacity is set by 50 gigawatts each year to help meet in 5,500 gigawatts target. Moody's, however, estimates an annual capacity addition of around 44 gigawatts with the help of achieve that target. India will have to invest as much as $385 billion to meet its target of 500 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030. But coal will remain a key source of electricity generation for the next decade, Moody's ratings said on June 6. India, a major greenhouse gas emitter, has said it aims to ramp up a non-fossil fuel capacity set by 50 gigawatts each year to help meet in its 500 gigawatts target. It missed its target of 175 gigawatts by 2022. What is Change 6 and what is its role in China's moon mission? Explain it. This handout photo taken on June 3rd and released by June 4 by CNSA shows the ascender and lander captured by the Chang'e 6 lunar probe after it landed on the moon. On June 4, a spacecraft from a Chang'e 6 lunar lander lifted off from the moon's far side, carrying valuable soil and rock samples. The story so far: in the pre-dawn hours of IST of the June 4, a small spacecraft bearing lunar samples took off from the moon's far side, headed off for an orbit that would bring it in contact with an orbiter waiting for it. The spacecraft will hand over the sample up to capsule on the returner, which will eventually bring the samples back to our Earth in a 2-week journey. The scientists will finally have access to the first pieces of moon soil and rocks from its far side. All the spacecrafts in this mission are part of the Chinese ambitious and ongoing Change 6 mission. Boeing launched NASA's astronauts for the first time after the years of the delays. A United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket carrying 2 astronauts aboard Boeing's Starliner, a first crew flight test CFT, is launched on the mission to the International Space Station in the Cape Canaveral of Florida, United States on June 5, 2024. Boeing launched astronauts for the first time, belatedly joining SpaceX as a second taxi service of NASA. Boeing launched astronauts for the first time on the June 5, belatedly joining SpaceX as a second taxi service for NASA. A pair of NASA test pilots blasted off board a Boeing Starliner capsule for the International Space Station, the first to fly the new spacecraft. Mexico's man dies of bird flu strain that has not been confirmed before in a human. World Health Organization says the WHO said it was not clear how the man became infected, although H5N2 has been reported in the poultry in Mexico. Health authorities say a man in Mexico died from a type of bird flu called H5N2 that has never before found in a human. A man's death in Mexico was caused by a strain of the bird flu called H5N2 that has never before been found in the human, the World Health Organization said on June 5. The WHO said it was not clear how the man became infected, although H5N2 has been reported in the poultry in Mexico. At last, there's a famous quotation said by Nelson Mandela, whose full name was Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, who was born on 18th July 1918 up to 5 December 2013, was a South African anti-apartheid activist, politician and statesman who served as the first president of the South Africa from 1994 to 1999. He was the country's first black head of the state and the first elected in a fully representative democratic election. His government focused on dismantling the legacy of the apartheid by fostering racial reconciliation. Ideologically an African nationalist and a socialist, he served as the president of the African National Congress (ANC) party from 1991 to 1997. Nelson Mandela says a famous quotation. He says that if you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. But if you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. Okay, thank you.